All right, guys. Hi, good morning. Yeah, it's still morning when I'm recording this. We are going to go over a very short video with some additional renters tips, how to protect yourself as a tenant. This is kind of a brief overview, and I am as always more than happy to continue to have these conversations and to talk about these topics, especially on areas in how to best advocate for yourself and to navigate a system that's a little bit complicated. So affordable housing and housing in general, as we all know, here in Austin has been kind of a hot mess over, I don't know, the last 10 years, but it's gotten a lot worse here in the last couple, excuse me, the last couple of years. Recently I spoke to an attorney who specializes in housing, and I did that because I'm not an attorney and I don't know all of the housing laws and ins and outs, and I wanted to get you guys some of the best information I possibly could. So these are the highlights that I took away from the conversation with him. Once again, this is not legal advice. This is not me saying that you should do one thing over another. This is from an attorney who works in housing here in Travis County, and what he recommends, what he sees in his cases. We'll go over some of the biggest mistakes tenants make with their management, with their housing complexes, and then we'll go over just some things that you guys can do and some resources that are in the area. And the resources are definitely the experts in this field. I am more of a kind of a jack of all trades. My big area of expertise is in like one-on-one support, individual therapy, that kind of thing, individual problem solving, short-term problem solving, case management, that kind of thing. That's really my area of expertise. And so my job is to connect you guys to resources. And this is one of those areas that I'm seeing more and more. There's a need to make sure that you guys have active connections to these resources. So according to the attorney that I spoke with, some of the biggest mistakes that tenants make is getting frustrated and not paying their rent, right? You've requested I don't even know, you've requested that your dryer be fixed 6 times and you stop paying your rent because you know what, like, you're not fixing my stuff. Like, why should I pay your rent? And I completely understand that mentality. I completely understand feeling that way. I would feel the same way. I have felt the same way and apartments that I've lived in the past. But once you start doing that, once you stop paying your rent on time, management suddenly has all kinds of abilities, right? There's all kinds of lease violations they can throw at you. They are not bound to attempt to keep you there, even if you had a valid complaint going into why you weren't paying your rent. Number 2, not getting your maintenance request or needs in writing. I talk about this a lot in most of my other advocacy videos, especially in the first renters tips video, where we had a long conversation about get it in writing. Because if it's not in writing, if you're just seeing management or you're seeing the maintenance guy and you're like, hey, by the way, can you fix this? They're like, yeah, sure, I'll be right back. And then they forget, right? Or life gets busy, right? You have no proof you've told anybody. You have no proof at all. And they have no proof that they haven't done anything, right? Like, they don't have anything holding them accountable either, right? Because here's the thing, somebody who's working full time with, there are 182 units at Think East, right? 182 units with potentially at least 182 issues, right? And trying to remember that and keep track of all of that and what's been done and what needs to be done and what needs to be ordered. Right, it is easy to lose track of that. And sometimes these systems, they are like the portal system, right? That is our way of helping hold management accountable, helping, to hold maintenance accountable for getting things fixed. So, you can go in on the portal and you can request. And if you've done that, especially like if there's, leak or there's mold and there's stuff like that. And mold in particular is apparently a highly sticky issue with Austin housing, which I was really surprised about. Once again, I'm not an attorney, so I don't super understand why it's an issue, right? Because like, I think it's like, I don't even know. I'm not even going to sit here and speculate why mold would be a sticky issue, because 100% it just feels like it should just be a no-brainer. Like, you just don't let mold grow in somebody's apartment. But if that's something that you have specific questions about, this attorney that I spoke with indicated that I could email him additional questions as they came up. So there's that. But so you can go into the portal and make your maintenance request. And if, let's say after about a week, if it's something small, air conditioning in the summer is a bit more of an emergency, an active leak, right? Like water is flooding your apartment, that's a problem. Like that's an emergency. They have to respond to those pretty quickly. But if it's something like the dryer's down or, I'm trying to think, like there are so many things, like a light socket is out, right? Like you can't use one of your outlets. They have what's considered a reasonable amount of time to come in and make that repair, and somewhere around 7 days. But my understanding, and I've asked several people, like, what exactly does that mean? And it's all subject to interpretation, right? Which means that there's no like law or expectation. It's just, one time, like I had a dead animal, like a dead rat living like in a wall of my apartment, and like nobody came for like a month and a half. Like there was like nothing we could do. Like we contacted the Austin Tenants Council and they were like, well, it's not impairing your health. And it's like, are you kidding me right now? Because I certainly felt like it was. So just be aware of the reasonable amount of time thing and how kind of just wildly frustrating it is that it's not fully defined. But if you've made a maintenance request and that maintenance request wasn't done or whatever, you can also do it specifically in writing. So you can write a letter and you can mail it to them. You can send it through certified mail. You can go down to the post office. You can pay it for certified mail. That way, when they get the letter, they have to sign acknowledging that they received it. You can also write a written letter, hand it to them, and you can ask them to sign something indicating that they got it. It being in writing is super important because it proves that, or it being in writing and you having something that proves that they received it is super important because it shows that they received that request. People don't tend to go that extra step of doing that in writing. Okay, so just something to be aware of. And then if for whatever reason, let's say you had a window that was broken in your apartment and you go into your portal and you make your request, and then like a month later you go back in and it says, oh no, that's been done. And it was never done. You need to go in and you need to make that request again immediately. Just kind of right away, okay? To let them know that it wasn't done. It can be easy to not want to feel like you're badgering them. And that's where things get a little bit sticky, because if you are not caught up on your rent and you start doing that, there is a possibility that they may consider eviction, or they may consider, just not doing the additional work. I don't understand how all of that works. Once again, unfortunately, I'm not a housing expert. But if you are not caught up on your rent, or if you are violating your lease, which is number 4, so not complying with the terms of your lease in any way, and you start complaining about maintenance things that aren't being done, that can potentially lead to retaliation. Is not the right word, but it can lead to consequences, right? Because if you're not paying your rent and you are violating your lease and they have grounds to ask you to leave, they may just do that. Is it fair? Is it okay? I don't particularly think so, but that doesn't inherently mean that they're not legally protected. So state of Texas is very business oriented, not very people oriented. And so landlords tend to be more protected than tenants, which is why I want to go over these things with you so that you guys have this understanding, or at least kind of the basic understanding, so that you can build upon it to best protect yourself as a tenant. So here are some of the tips shared with me by the same attorney. So always get all requests in writing, all of them, handwritten, typed, mailed, oops, that should say and mailed to the front office 2 times, handwritten or typed, and you send it through the front office through certified mail. So if you are not sending it through certified mail, you just have to send you have to send them the request twice. I specifically asked about the portal system, and he was like, start with the portal system. Like that gets sticky too, because, sometimes things get lost in computer systems. But if you have a major maintenance issue and it's not getting solved through your portal request, you should go ahead and do a written letter. Okay. And number 2, the office has a reasonable amount of time to complete repairs. I talked about that briefly, and it can vary, right? The more serious and severe the maintenance need, right? So massive flooding, air conditioner broken in the middle of July when it's 110 degrees outside and it's unsafe, heat being out in the middle of winter, and not because of like a snowstorm, but because of a maintenance issue. You know, when temperatures are low enough that it can cause, you know, it can cause death. You know, they have a shorter amount of time to respond to that stuff than they do to, I don't know, broken outlets or the stove that's not working or whatever. Mold is a complicated issue in housing in Austin. I don't know why, but that's what he said. And I can, like I said, if you have specific questions about that, I'm happy to pass them on to him and maybe get some additional clarity. And if your request has been marked complete in the portal and it was not completed, request it again. All right, you just really need to request it again. You need to make sure that they know that it wasn't done, right? Because sometimes, you know, things get clicked, right? Like, I don't know what their back end looks like. I don't know if it's like, okay, done. And maybe they thought it was done, or maybe they had the exact same maintenance issue at like 10 different apartments, right? And they just went through and clicked them all, right? You don't want to be kind of on the hook for not notifying them, okay? I'm going to skip number 3 because I'm actually going to click on that link here in just a moment. But number 4, be civil to management, even when you're frustrated. Now, this is, as a social worker, this is probably the number one thing that I struggled with the most when I was having this conversation with him. I struggled a lot with everything he had to say, but this piece in particular, because you guys are entitled to your emotions. Okay. If you're frustrated, if you are mad, if you are hurt, if you are overwhelmed by what you are seeing and experiencing, kind of at all in your life, let alone in your housing situation, and you need a space to process through those feelings first, I am happy to be that sounding board. What this attorney was telling me is that when we go into the office and we're frustrated and we kind of lash out because, are you kidding me? You told me that wasn't going to be a thing, or you told me that wasn't the rule and now it's the rule. What in the world do you want me to do here, right? You're expressing frustration that you have the right to. You're expressing anger that you have the right to feel, given the things that you have experienced. Management in that situation can claim that you're interfering with their ability to do their job, which I guess becomes like a lease violation, which just feels very like protecting the landlord, not the tenant kind of thing. This is an area where I'm happy to, like I said, help you process through whatever you're feeling. I'm happy to be a sounding board while you're trying to gather your thoughts before you go into the office or you go in to talk to management. I'm happy to give you a place to just vent or rant or whatever it is you need, however I can help in this area. Because I very much am of the mindset that whatever you're feeling is perfectly okay as long as you're not hurting anybody. Right. So if you're mad and you call me and you're yelling, even if you're yelling at me about something that I did, like that's certainly your choice. You can certainly be mad. And, you know, I'm sure I know that I do things that people would get mad at me for. Sometimes it's, you know, just because it's how it is. And sometimes, you know, I just didn't know, like, but I mean, that's kind of my philosophy in life. So have that in your back pocket, have that in your head when you're going in to confront management. Think about what it is that you're trying to get across. Think about what you're trying to say. And if, you know, for whatever reason, you've gone in and you've had a conversation and you still maybe aren't feeling heard, or you are feeling kind of kicked around by the system and you are feeling taken advantage of, like I am always happy to listen to whatever it is that you have to say and to kind of be with you as you're going through that. I'm also happy to go in and just ask that question, like, what is going on? Like, do you understand the rest of the story? Because sometimes they don't, right? Just because they're not having comprehensive conversations with you guys like I am. So they don't have all the backstory. They don't have the how we got to this point and why this is a frustrating thing. All they have is that moment in front of them. And sometimes context can help at least de-escalate. So just have that in mind. These are kind of the major resources in the city of Austin. I am not a major resource, but I wanted to put my name and number on here as well in case anybody wanted to follow up on any of this. But the Austin Tenants Council, this first one right here, it is probably your number one resource here in the city. They are wonderful. They provide housing counselors free of charge and will connect you to legal aid if needed. You know, and a lot of times when you guys call me to express frustrations about living conditions or management or rule changes or lease expectations or anything like that, right? Like I like 9 times out of 10, like I'm going to refer you to the Austin Tenants Council, right? Because I will not give you legal advice. Even if I feel like I know the answer, right? Like I will not give you legal advice. I'm not going to tell you to pay your rent. I'm also not going to tell you not to pay your rent. Like, I mean, like if you can pay your rent, you should pay your rent. But I also understand that there are different situations. But that is not an area that I am going to get actively engaged in, right? I'm not going to, like, if somebody comes to me and is like, hey, I'm not going to pay my rent anymore, help me through that. Like, there's not, like, I'm not gonna argue with you about it, right? I may ask why you've come to that decision, and I may remind you that that could potentially backfire. But I am also aware that each of you guys are adults and you guys are, you know, making your own life choices. And I am on this journey with you guys. I am not here to tell you what to do or how to do it. If you ask me my opinion, I will give it. But I just to make sure you guys are clear on that. And then the other resource here is Basta. And Basta is an amazing resource. And you guys can Google it. This is the first link that pops up. I'm going to go back here though and see if I can't pull this website up right now. Okay, I think that we paused screen sharing and I think we're back. The website is loading. Okay, so this I thought was super interesting. So this is just one of the many pages on their website. This is evidence collection tips for renters. So having evidence of your problems helps you enforce your rights. So here are some tips. Okay, so document. They say it once, I'm going to say it like 75 times. I think I've already said it like 10 times over the course of this, I don't even know, 10-minute video at this point. Pictures and videos are worth 1,000 words. That should definitely not say words. It should say words. Document any repair issues with your phone or your camera. Okay, and don't get rid of it. Right? If you sent it in an email, hold on to your emails, right? If you sent it, you know, if you send a letter, make sure that you have like a copy of that letter, right? Take a picture of the letter you sent, take a picture of yourself dropping it off, right? Whatever it is you need to do to indicate that this thing happened on this day. And get proof you submitted something. Always make a copy or take a picture of any document you give to management. You can ask for a receipt or ask management to sign, date, and give you a copy of your document. Absolutely. Always do it. And this is kind of my general philosophy of kind of across the board. You know, if somebody says they're going to do something, like, can you put that in writing, right? Or if somebody needs me to do something, a lot of times I will ask them to go ahead and like send me a message as a reminder, not because I don't want to do it, not because I don't think there's value in doing it, but because I don't want to accidentally forget while I'm doing something else. And keep your documents. Have a file folder. If you need a file folder, that is something I can certainly help with. You know, put them all in a safe place, store them electronically so you can take pictures of everything, and you can just kind of have like an email folder, or you can have like a Google Drive folder, or you can have some folder online, like on the cloud, that has everything that you've done. And then you can record. Texas law allows you to record someone, so you can use your phone to record any video or audio. So, you know, if you're worried about, you know, your interactions with management or with whoever, right, you can record that and log everything. And here is and I will download these, and I'm happy to bring copies of this down, but log everything. Maintaining a log of ongoing problems and activities you take to try to get the problem resolved is a really good way to keep a record for 2 reasons. Number one, if things go sideways, you have a record already there. You don't have to go back and try to figure it out. And I've had some people do that relatively recently, where they've gone back 6 months trying to document every single time they sent a follow-up email or they went in and talked. So this is what the log looks like. Like I said, I will print it out for you. I will bring you copies of it if you want it. Actually, I may just bring copies and put it in the front office, because I think it's probably good to have, right? I think it's good for you. It's empowering. It's a tool for you. It is not something you have to do. And then here are the different kinds of issues that you want to log. This is for educational purposes only, not legal counsel or advice. Basta is a nonprofit that works to work with renters, with tenants, to help build community within the communities in an effort to help change living conditions. Very cool program. They do amazing stuff. This is not the only thing on here. Know your rights, how to get involved if you decide you want to get involved with something a little bit wider. They help set up tenants associations. I'll look into the community education. Maybe that's some stuff that we can put on our calendars moving forward. But this is, this is kind of where I'm at today. This is what this looks like. This is a very brief overview. This is the things that I heard from the attorney that I met with that I felt was really, really important to get to you guys so that you guys can have some of the basic information that I have. I am learning in this process, just like you guys are. In some ways, you guys are teaching me a ton. So please continue to ask questions. Please continue to share with me what you're learning as you kind of go through your housing and tenants experience, tenancy. I don't know that that's a word. Your experience as a tenant. Always happy to hear it. Always love to hear it, both good and bad. I think if there's a story that you would like to share with me so that I can hopefully start sharing with other affordable housing organizations and stuff like that, as we're hoping to build out some additional stuff, that would be amazing. I'm always happy to hear it and de-identify. Your name doesn't have to be shared. But being a tenant you have a right to housing. You have a fundamental human right to have a place to live. And unfortunately, sometimes it can get complicated, right? And so I just, however I can help manage some of those complications, I'm happy to answer what I can. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that anything in here was helpful. If it was, or if it wasn't, or if, like I said, you have any questions, please feel free to comment, or, feel free to give me a call. If you live at Think East, you guys have my email address. Just thinkeastservice@gmail.com. Feel free to email me, and we will, we'll just keep on keeping on, trying to make things a little bit better at a time. And I know sometimes it feels like, a couple steps have been, we go forward, a couple steps forward, one step back. But I think as long as the net progress is positive, I think we're making progress. As slow and as frustrating as it may feel at times. So hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hope you guys have wonderful holidays. And I know that I'm saying that now because I'm recording this in December, and at some point I'll be sharing this video and it's going to be like April and everyone's going to be like, what? Please know that I know that. But thank you guys all for participating and listening to what I had to say today. Have a good day.